What's happening, everyone? Welcome to the Sportscast. It's me, Andy Grant. I've got Muskie, our producer, jumping in for Gary.
What's happening?
To have you, Musk. We're back at the home of the podcast in the Feathers, bottom of Addis Drive on Hawthorne Road. Who, by the way, if you saw the Echo this week, got its kind of...
flowers.
It's got its flowers, didn't it? Yeah, there was a bit of a bright up in the Liverpool Echo. Just saying what a great little boozer it is, which I've been now shouting about for months. Again, boss bands on, boss people singing at the weekend, loads of footy on. It's always packed, great atmosphere. So again, if you don't believe me, check out the Liverpool Echo, and they've done, again, a nice write-up on it. So yeah, big up the Feathers. Also, next couple of weeks, I'm going to be away on my hollybobs. So Muskie and Gary will be taking the reins. Can't wait to see who takes the lead on that. But they've said they're going to carry the pod on, which is great. So yeah, I won't be here for the next 2 weeks, but Muskie and Gary will be. Boom. Right, let's get into it. First off, we're going to touch on the Australian Open. The tennis is going on at the moment, and I fully expected to be sitting here now saying...
Expected or hoped?
No, not hoped. I'm not a negative Nancy. I love seeing people doing well. I'm just a bit of a realist, and I didn't think Emma Raducanu had a hope in hell of getting through her last round, but she did. So, in the first round of the Australian Open, she managed to win. It was... Let me get this right, actually. So, she won 2-0 in the first game, but she had 15 double faults. Right.
Little nervy one.
Come on, I had more than a bit of a nervy one, that. 15 double faults. Her opponent only had 4. Nevertheless, she won 2-0, booked herself into the second round. The second round, she was the 11-8 second favourite. Her opponent was 4-7 odds on. She won 2-0, and she only had 5 double faults this time. So that's now set up a mouth-watering clash with, I can never say a name, Swiatek, I'm going to say. That's probably not how you say it.
You're never the best at names, but
I'm
it's
not.
tennis, lad, so I'm going to fucking glue anyway.
Well, she's Polish. She's world number 2, former world number 1, and that's who Emma Raducanu's facing next. She's now the 9-2 outsider. The former world number 1's 1-7. It's going to be a tough task for her in the third round, but you know what? Fair play to her. She got through 2 matches that I didn't think she'd get through. One with 15 double faults, the other one with 5. But the other thing to note is I didn't watch the game, but I've just read up then. She come through more back problems. She's had back spasms. So her injury woes still aren't behind her. And I think that was one big reason everyone said she wasn't really getting to the standards that they thought she would because of her injury. She's plagued with injury. It's very unfortunate. And just as she's starting to get going again, more injuries look like they're kind of... Well, not more injuries, but she's not fully done.
Yeah, they're persistent.
But it's going to be a big game. I think that's going to go on. So when you wake up in the Sportscast, the result of that kind of next round will be in. Listen, if she gets through that against the world number 2, fair play to her. I don't think she will, though. That's not me being negative. That does sound negative, doesn't it?
Fair, lad.
I hope she does, but...
I think you mentioned being a realist before, didn't you?
Exactly. Listen, she's only 22. She's got, just turned 22 as well. So, fingers crossed. She's on a 5-match winning streak. So you never know. Or Saturday morning she plays actually. So early hours Saturday morning. And the other big one is Big Novak. So he's obviously teamed up with Andy Murray, and he got through his first game 3-1 in his first 2 games. So he's 7th in the world now, Novak, 37. Who knows whether he can roll back the years and win again, but listen, it's got off to an okay start.
I think the thing with the Murray thing is that he's probably thinking, not long left, so I may as well just enjoy myself, get one of the lads off the tour that I used to get on with a fair bit to kind of be part of my team and see how it goes like.
What a job that'd be though. He must be thanking his lucky stars, mustn't he? That he's just retired, Andy Murray, injury plagued, retired. He's probably aching getting out of bed, can't be arsed doing fuck all, and then one of the goats just go, hey lad, do you fancy knocking a few balls about with us? Yeah.
Still travelling the world, but you don't have the kind of the pressure that used to come with being a pro.
And the first job is in Australia. Oh yeah, fancy Australia for a month. Sound.
In January.
Oh, perfect. He's landed on his feet, and hopefully they make a good success of that new partnership. That's all I've got in the Australian Open. So fingers crossed to Emma and Novak and Andy. Right, we'll jump into footy, mate.
Been busy, hasn't it?
It's been really busy. There seems to be like you're almost talking about 2 games, aren't you? The one that's just been and the one that's going ahead. So we'll look back at the weekend at Accrington Stanley. I didn't actually watch the game. Did you go to it, did you?
No, I ended up passing my ticket on to one of the lads who's always asking for tickets, so I thought it's one of the better games to kind of give
good
one.
Egg, Aaron Moskin, he's good egg. Pretty expected, wasn't it? Made a few changes and got the job done.
Yeah, the changes that were made were obviously the majority of them were lads who haven't really had a sniff at the first team and stuff like that. So it's good. It's a good game for them to come in and show what they're about. And then a couple of the fringe players to kind of show why they shouldn't be fringe players. I wouldn't say there was anyone that was like a standout. Oh, he definitely needs to be in the first team, like starting regular. A couple of the younger lads, you might think they might get more appearances off the bench because they played well, and I think the draws probably helped us that our next game in the cup isn't too much of a, or touch wood, isn't too much of a task and fixture, that we can kind of play near enough the same 11 again, hopefully.
Yeah, you'd like to think. I think that game sandwiched in between Spurs and the Derby, isn't it? So and Plymouth's a mission away, by the way.
Yeah.
We're based down there for a while. It's a good 5-6 hours, whether they'll fly or not. I think, but even if they fly, they have to fly to Exeter.
I think some players will probably just stay here.
Well, yeah.
Hopefully you're going to have some of the senior players. Hopefully that we don't even need to take it all.
You'd think, Virgil, Trent and Mo won't even go. I'd like to think. Listen, if they can't beat Plymouth, they've just sacked the manager and sitting in, bottom of the championship, then yeah. So yeah, the standout, the guy here, I can't even say his name either. The one we got from Chelsea, he's 16.
We'll just call him Rio.
Rio?
Yeah.
Is that his first name, Rio?
First name's Rio, yeah.
Yeah, Rio. He looked good. I've only seen like a little highlights, but he's quick feet, hasn't he?
Got quick feet, he's not scared. He'll try and take on whoever's in front of him. It got to a point, I think, partway through the second half, where I think they didn't just double up, I think they tripled up on him when he got the ball at one point. Obviously it meant that there was space somewhere else, but it just showed that he had the respect of the opposition. Like, even though he's 16, it's like, we can't let him have too much time on the ball because he might take the piss a little bit.
I read as well, Chelsea were not happy. Really, really pissed off that he went.
Yeah. Like, he will, hopefully he will have a good career ahead of him. It's just a case of, obviously we can see that he's a great dribbler. He's great on the ball when it's at his feet. It'll be just more of a, as he steps up through the levels, does he know what to do with it? Like, what's his final ball like? What's his decision making like? When to pass it, when to keep hold of it, all that kind of stuff. When someone's a dribbler, it's hard to reprogram them to not be.
Yeah, to get the head up and get the final.
As well as not like taking away all of the personality as well.
I think as Liverpool fans, we've seen the two extremes, haven't we? We've seen Raheem Sterling come through and be unbelievable, and we've seen Jordan Ibe come through and just fail to live up to it. So, I mean, hopefully he can be more of a career like Sterling, but yeah, I know what you mean. I think what's great about the squad, though, I'm just looking out at the lineup we had. Endo, captain of Japan. Soboslai, captain of Hungary. I think it's Tsimikas, captain of...
He'll be at least one of the senior players only.
You had Trent ends up captain in the team. So there was leaders, even though they did play, a lot of youngsters and a lot of fringe players. There's leaders all over it, and 4-0 as you'd expect. I think Accrington gave a good show, didn't they, for part of it? Yeah,
and I think when they had like the little punditry at the end, I think some of them were saying that 4-0 was probably a bit of a disservice to Accrington. I think that's the kind of scoreline everyone was expecting anyway.
Yeah.
But the way that the game went might not have been a 4-0 game, but you can't really argue with the way that the game went, especially in the second half. Obviously, once they kind of lost a little bit of legs, they lost a little bit of the momentum that they had in the first half, where obviously the occasion gets everyone through.
And I think soon as you get like the likes of Jota, I think he's one of the best finishers ever. It's demoralising. You could play well all game and then he only needs half a chance, doesn't he? Yeah, that then set up Plymouth on the 8th of Feb, which kind of means, like we've just said, then that week, I think it's Tottenham on the Wednesday. That's the second leg of the League Cup. Plymouth then in the FA Cup.
I think it's Tottenham Thursday, isn't it?
Is it Thursday?
I think so.
So let's go Thursday, Sunday, Wednesday then. Yeah, so you'd imagine a full-strength team for the Spurs game on the Thursday. Don't let anyone even travel to Plymouth because it's a fucking mission away. Play the kids in the FA Cup, and then we've got the Derby then on Wednesday, which again you'd expect them to go full strength.
Yeah.
And then it's Wolves then at the weekend. So yeah, that's in a few weeks' time. The weekend just gone. Forest. Weekend gone. It was midweek, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Last game, Forest. Are you in the 2 points dropped or 1 point gained?
When I was watching it, I was thinking, halfway through the second half, I was thinking, I'll take a draw here. The way that the last 20 minutes or so went, it felt more like it was 2 points dropped because of the fact that I felt that the last 15, 20 minutes, they looked like they had no legs. They looked like they put everything into that first hour. And I don't think they offered much going forward. It was very much like, well, we'll try and keep what we've got. I just think that we could have potentially got her over the line, but their keeper made some worldy saves, like unbelievable saves.
I'm a little bit more than, take a point and move on, I agree with everything you've just said. We easily could have won it if the keeper hadn't made such good saves, and the defenders played really well as well. There's some great blocks and challenges.
Well, they gave their centre-half man of the match, so...
Yeah, that says it all, doesn't it? I think, though, if you forget it's Nottingham Forest, who maybe no one give a chance at the start of the season, and you look on it purely, you're playing third in the league, they're only 5 points behind you, and you're away. Plus their home record, or the last 6 fixtures, I think they'd won the last 5 or 6 games on the spin.
They've got the best form other than Newcastle.
So, exactly, if you take away the fact it's Nottingham Forest, and you just put we're playing third in the league, the form not there, etc., away from home, I think you take a point and move on. Forget how the game went. I think it's a decent point. Forest, listen, they're playing well, aren't they? They've got some good scalps already. I mean, notably us at Anfield. I just think, I don't think they're an amazing football playing side, Forest. I think that they're just so well organised.
They know what they're good at, and they know how to get the best out of every single player that they've got.
Yeah, watching the analysis, like their play when they haven't got the ball is incredible.
Straight back in.
Yeah. So it's like
it's so hard. Like if there's no space to play in front of, then what are you meant to do?
Exactly.
Like I remember, like I put into the WhatsApp group at half time. It's doing me head, and I was just trying to clip it in all the time, but there probably wasn't many other options for them to do. We couldn't play it through their lines because they were so compact.
There was times when Van Dijk was just walking with the ball and no one was even closing them down. It was like, just have it, we don't care.
Well, normally that's the kind of will one of their forwards to come at him, and then that creates a bit of a gap, and they were like, sound, go ahead. We're winning 1-0. We can run that cross down if you want. Like.
It was a bit mad to see, but you know what, fair play to them, what they're doing is working. I mean, like to say, the stats we should have had, we had nearly 2 on the XGs, 23 shots to their 6, 7 on target to their 3. Yeah, I mean, dominated the game, but like we just said then, it just wasn't to be. I think the other positive, though, from that result is obviously City dropped points, Chelsea dropped points. I was hoping Arsenal would have dropped points. Obviously, they got the win, but we're still, 4 clear with a game in hand?
Yeah.
Listen, 20 games in.
You can take that all day.
You're taking it out.
Yeah.
Do you know what's really interesting? I'd love to say this was my analogy, but it wasn't. I spoke to our mate Phil, who said he's seen a tweet, and I thought this is a great tweet. When Liverpool won the league, 1920, I think it skewed Liverpool fans, supporters, of what it takes to win the league. Because, we're in our 30s, all we've ever known is United winning the league. But I mean, in recent history, you've had City dominating, taking the piss. A couple of seasons where we really pushed them. One season where we've actually done it. And the one season we've done it, we'd won 26 out of 27. And it wasn't even like wasn't a title race, was it really? We just took the piss. Whereas I think that's made us forget that this is what a title race feels like. If you remember back to the 90s and it was United, Arsenal, United, Chelsea, it was like this. They were only getting 70, 80 points, and it was like everyone was beating everyone, and you're only drawing away from home, and it wasn't a crisis. Whereas I think the standards from the last few years have been so high through Liverpool and Man City that you're drawing away from home against third place, and it's like, oh no, God. And I think there's probably a bit of an overreaction of like, we don't need to win every single game.
Yeah. And it's similar to what we brought up the other week about City, about being a little bit spoiled for winning every single game, and then when you went through that rough patch, they were booing the players off the pitch and all that.
Yeah.
Obviously it's only a certain number of the fan base, and it's normally the keyboard warriors on Twitter or whatever. It's never or hardly ever any of the match going, being there, done, that kind of thing. It's more like, well, what's the point now?
Yeah.
Whereas, as you just said, we've seen it where teams have only needed high 70s, low 80s to win the league.
Yeah.
Even when we weren't winning the league the other year, we were saying that points total would have won us X amount of leagues in the noughties or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's because City put the standard right up. We then met them near enough toe-to-toe it, like for 4 or 5 seasons. And now that everyone's kind of had that little bit of a drop-off, it is a bit more like what it used to be.
Totally, yeah. And if you think about it, ignore the kind of Klopp, Guardiola kind of era. Liverpool really have only been in one at a push 2 title races, and that's under the 2008-2009 Rafa when he had his rant.
13-14.
And Rodgers. So, as Liverpool fans, we've only ever actually been in 2 title races that were quite, apart from Klopp and Guardiola. So, I think this is really exciting. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be a lot more nerve-wracking. Don't get me wrong, that we're not taking the piss with it, but I just think as fans, like we've, I just think our version of what it takes to kind of be in a title run has just been massively skewed because we've not had many of them, and when we have, we just took the piss and it wasn't a title race, was it?
Yeah, and also it's the fact that it's different teams as well. Like like again, when we were in those title races when it was Guardiola and Klopp, it was like you'd watch our game, then you'd look out for their results, and then you wouldn't really give a shit about the rest of the Prem really. No. Whereas you're actually taking more of a note of other teams around you because everyone's taking points off everyone, and some of the what we'd call lower down teams are actually playing some of the best footy that's in the league at the moment.
100%, and I think it's been one of the most exciting seasons for ages because you're looking at Newcastle, you're going at St James's Park, Newcastle can beat anyone there. You're looking at Brentford at home, you're going Brentford can beat anyone, the home record's unbelievable. You're looking at Forest going, fucking hell, Forest are doing well. Fulham have been alright this season as well. So you're looking at teams going, fucking hell. Whereas again, for the last few years, it's just been, you don't look at City, don't you?
Yeah.
If City won, you're like, it ruins your weekends. Whereas now,
the big 6 at the moment isn't the big 6.
No. Look at Spurs and United, how far down they are, and some of the teams that are capitalising on that. I think with Chelsea, new manager and their signings, it's exciting, I suppose, if you're a Chelsea supporter. Spurs, although they're not doing great, they're playing great football. It's been entertaining, hasn't it? I think so. It's probably not what you want as a Liverpool fan. You'd rather us with 20 points clear, but I just think we need to relax a little bit and enjoy it because I think it will be an exciting season.
And I think that's where the United atmosphere wasn't great, and that's partly down for the fact that we were like, well, as fans we were thinking, well, there's 3 points before we've even started here.
I was one of them.
Players and fans, I think majority of them at that. And then when the game wasn't going our way, it wasn't like one of those games where the fans are like, right, we need to get behind them. It was like, what the fuck's going on here?
Yeah.
Why aren't you winning?
That's what I mean. It's almost, we've been spoilt with it. Klopp kind of spoilt us with it. So I just think now, listen, we're not going to win the league. We're not going to go on one of those runs we did where we win 26 out of 27. It's going to be a grind. There's going to be some really tough spells. Because I argue, like, we're in one now. You know what I mean? I wouldn't say the wheels have fell off, but we've not won now in, what, two or three games? 3 games. 2 of them have been in the league. So you're like... So I do think it's going to be a proper roller coaster from now to the end of the season, and I just think you just enjoy it.
Definitely.
On to the weekend, then Brentford. Again, just mentioned them then. They've been great at home, haven't they? You thought that kind of their home record was going to come undone at the weekend, 2-0 down to City, and yet they come back and get a draw, which is great for us, I suppose, that City didn't capitalise on us not winning, but at the same time, you're looking at Brentford now thinking...
You didn't want that to be the game before
we play them.
Yeah.
They've been playing great, haven't they? It's mad how shite they are away from home, and how great they are at home. Unfortunately, we are playing them at Brentford on Saturday. What time is it? 3 o'clock?
3 o'clock, yeah.
It's mad how little we play at 3 o'clock on a Saturday, isn't it?
We've had more this season than I think I can remember from the last 4 or 5. Yeah.
I'd be interested to know in a 38-game season how many times Liverpool play at 3 o'clock on a Saturday. I reckon it's less than 10.
And obviously that comes with European football and all that kind of stuff as well, don't it?
Yeah, it's going to be a hard one, isn't it? Listen, I think Liverpool need to win because, again, not won in the last 2. Yet we've not been beaten, but...
You wouldn't want that gap to go to 1, would you?
No.
Again, even though you've got a game in hand.
I think that game in hand's dangerous, though. Everyone's thinking...
Exactly.
The game in... It's like you just said about United. Everyone's thinking this game in hand is 3 points.
It's Goodison under the lights with Moyes.
Exactly. It's not a guaranteed. This game in hand thing is a fallacy. It's not a guaranteed 3 points. So I'd rather have points on the board, be ahead, and I think Brentford's the perfect time to just start getting those points on the board.
The only thing that we need to make sure is that we don't allow them space to counter. They've got some good players on the bench.
And Bueno's good, isn't he?
Yeah, and Buemo, Wissa. They've got a couple of lads in midfield that just like pull strings. It's just one of those games where, again, similar to the Forest one, we don't want to give them an opportunity to get the tails up.
Yeah.
You want to just kind of like get into that game, go through it first 5-10 minutes, make them turn. But again, Liverpool this season have been more of a second half team, haven't they? So we've allowed teams to have a little go in the first half.
Yeah. Do you know what I'm worried about though? Both fullbacks, which it sounds like a crime to even say, given the joys that you give us this last couple of years, or last few years, I should say. You know how great Trent and Robbo been. They've been unbelievable, but they are getting caught, both of them, defensively.
If you're the opposition, you're targeting our flanks, aren't you?
Yeah.
Like you don't want to go through the middle because Gravenberch's having one of the best seasons that he's had. We've got McAllister who's given like more often than not 8, 9 out of 10 performances.
Been great, McAllister.
So you're going to be going down the flanks where even like lower down teams, even further down than Brentford, are going, let's target their fullbacks because they're slow. Robertson's slow. Trent's poor position.
Just doesn't run.
Yeah. So
he's probably fast if he
Trent's
applies
fast, but he doesn't run, yeah. So he'll get caught out of position and then just jog back. Whereas Robertson, he's trying his hardest to sprint back.
But he's got a parachute on his back.
He's running quicksand, like. But as you said, they have got credit in the bank because of what they've given us over the years. But I think if you want to win games, I think you've got to maybe play Costas in some of these games and just give Robbo either time for his legs to kind of recover or just time for his head to be put right. It didn't look like he was thrilled to come off the other day, and I think that might be more because he knows he didn't play well.
Yeah.
And the reason he's off isn't to save him for a game at the weekend.
Game,
it's like, you look leggy there, mate.
Yeah. And it must be so hard. Maybe it's a little bit easier for Slot that he's not being there when they've been that great. Might be a bit easier for him, maybe Klopp might.
Well, he can see them with different eyes, can't he?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it must, listen, it's going to be hard, isn't it, for them emotionally and mentally to think, you know what, I was like...
The boy?
Yeah, both of them were, weren't they? And it's like, and listen, this isn't me being harsh, but if you want to win, winners make those big decisions and say, look, you've been a great legend for this club, a great servant, but actually you're playing shit at the minute, I'm taking you off the team. It takes a big call, and you know, fans might go, you can't say that, he's been a legend. He has been a legend for the club, but he's still playing poor now. You know, you can't keep him in the team every week.
You can be both. You can be a legend, but you can still be going through a bad patch. And because of more so Robbo's age, that bad patch is going to be more than a patch probably, because he won't get to those.
Alan Kennedy was a great left back, a legend for the club. You wouldn't put him in now, would you? Do you know what I mean? It's like legends do. You know, I'm not saying he's coming to his ends, but he does need help, doesn't he?
It just needs to be managed, yeah. And I think it can be a confidence thing as well, because when he starts a game well, he very rarely will then drop. But if he has like a 10 minutes where either he's been turned a few times or he's given away a foul or whatever, you can see that it gets in his head a bit more. His distribution's a bit shit then. Like even like simple passes, he'll try and like fizz it into someone and kind of hook it out.
Do you know for me what it is most as well, though? And this is just testament to how well Liverpool have been playing. But when I think of when Liverpool haven't won, I can literally remember the games we haven't won. I can remember a lot of them being because of him. And my memory's terrible, so if I can remember his mistakes, then he's probably made even more. But I think that's the thing for me, I think. Fucking hell. But the question then comes then, do we then go after anyone in January? Because if they are going to go after anyone, I'd look for a left back.
Yeah.
I think definitely you can get away with maybe not getting a right back because you've got Conor Bradley there, but I think a left back, if they can get one, I think that'd be big. And if they could also offload Nunez in January, I would do that as well.
Do you reckon there was much in that Nunez one?
Nunez to Saudi Arabia looked like
legit.
That Fabrizio Romano, whatever his name is, he was talking about it. So yeah, I think 70 million. What would he buy him for? 85. But listen, I'd take 50 for him. I am well off the Nunez bandwagon now. Like I willed him to do well, but it gets to a point where the most determined woodpecker in the world ain't getting through a lamppost. Do you know what I mean? You can have all the heart and all the determination you want. If he's not good enough, he's not good enough. And this Captain Chaos bollocks, listen, fucking hell, put me on the pitch and make me run round. I can run round for 90 minutes.
And the thing is, with the Captain Chaos stuff, it probably worked better when it was Klopp, because the rest of the team was a little bit chaotic as well.
Exactly.
But that's
a great shout.
Everything's measured now, and we're asking him to come deep and like bounce the ball back to people.
No, you know what it is? You're asking him to think about what he's doing.
Yeah.
And that's what he's like, I don't know how to think. I'm just like used to running around like a madman. His finishing is so poor. And listen, that's what he's paid to do. Put the ball in the back of the net, and he's
Fowler wasn't happy with him the weekend, like.
Well, he shouldn't be. I mean, one of the biggest legends of the club, God himself, is giving an honest assessment on him, and he's not good enough. Yeah, I think he needs to go. And listen, it's not in person. I think fans kind of think that you're like they did with Robbie, that you're having a personal attack on him. You're not. You're just saying he's not good enough for this football team. It's not saying he's a bad person or he's a terrible footballer, but you can't be Liverpool's number 9, I'm sorry. And it's simple as that.
There's a level that you've got to be to not only be Liverpool's number 9, but Liverpool's number 9 when they're going for titles and they're going for cups. Like, Liverpool's number 9 in the mid-90s was Fowler, but the rest of the team weren't doing enough, really, as a club, like, to win stuff.
Djibril Cissé was an half-decent striker for us. You wouldn't have him in this team now, would you? Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah.
And I think if that bid came from anybody else, we might have actually accepted it. But I don't know whether when Saudi bids come in, it's like, we know you can give more. And I reckon that's a dangerous game to play, because they might go, sound, we'll go and find someone else. 70 million is a lot of money. If that's right, 70 million is a lot of money for that player.
You take the hit on the 15 you're losing out on. I think I wouldn't even, by the way, invest straight away in a striker. I'd just get the money in the bank and maybe even wait out till the summer. But I think if they're going to buy anyone this window, it's a left-back, without doubt. Even
centre-half, though, we're playing Endo in games at centre-half. We had Gravenberch going centre-half during the week.
Listen, if all the defenders are fit, I think we're all right. You know, Kanate and Verge is the main two, with Gomez and Quansah.
I think Quansah's heads fell off, though.
Do you reckon? What, as in wanting to move, you mean? Or
no, as in, I don't think he backs himself, no.
I just think he needs a run of games. I think he'd be all right.
But when's he getting a run of games?
Suppose, yeah.
Like, back in the day, it used to be go and get a run of games in the reserves or whatever. But that doesn't happen anymore. So his run of games will be
and you get
the odd cup game every now and again.
Like Plymouth, you'd expect him to start, but you can't even give him a run in the League Cup now because you're in the semis, aren't we? So,
we did do, and he went off because he was sick.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, but a centre half. But listen, get a left back in, just to shore things up, I think. So then, predictions then for the weekend, Brentford.
I think we need the win, so I think it's gonna have to be a win. I don't think we can. I know we were talking about like there being a bit of a gap in that. I don't think we can afford many other 2-point drop kind of games. Obviously, we're seeing it from.
We can't unless other teams drop points around us.
But you don't want to be doing that. You don't want to be looking around and hoping that you've got to win the league yourself, haven't you? And I know Brentford have got a really good home record, so hopefully they back themselves and they're going to be a little bit more attacking than maybe they would if it was the way around. But I reckon we'll get the win.
I think we'll get the win. I think it'll be comfortable as well. I think 2 or 3-0. I think a lot of people will be going, "Oh, tough game this," and I think we'll blow them away 2 or 3-0.
If we can get a Jota start, that would be nice.
Jota's unbelievable, by the way. Can we just have a minute just to talk about him? We just kind of slide Nunez off a little bit there, but Jota, what a striker he is. He's one of them. He doesn't seem to moan or nothing, does he, when he's not kind of starting? I know he's been very injury plagued, if you like, but he just comes in, no messing about, just gets the job done, puts the ball in the back of the net, let's go. That's all you want from a striker.
Yeah, he's your proper like number 9 sniffer type.
Unbelievable.
Fox in the box kind of player, isn't he?
Right, we'll touch on the Blues. Obviously, I can't give a unbiased opinion because I can't stand them, but we'll have a go. What I will just say to wind the Blues up even more, I said for years, right, I've said it to Gary, and Gary's argued back with me about David Moyes. Like, you know what, all the past years Evertonians have been going for different managers and all that, and I've always said, why would you never take Moyes back? And people would say, I remember speaking to Jamie Neal about it, to Gary, nah, you know, we need someone new now and all that. I rate David Moyes. I think he's done a great job for Everton. I think he's done a great job for West Ham. I know Evertonians now are coming round to the idea of him, but I think he should have had respect on his name years ago. I think he could have done a job for them years ago. But anyway, we find them back with him now, whether they like it or not. He had a tough first test against Villa at home. I didn't fancy them to win. And Evertonians, I think, or the more so the kind of the owners, the board, I would have kept Tyson and just given players, because they put Moyes in, and I think it's a fair appointment. You know what I mean? I get why they've done it, but it's fucking players that they need. Like, he's not got a magic wand, has he, David Moyes? They can't put the ball in the back of the net. I'm watching his press conference last night. He's saying words like we desperately need to get someone in. I don't think he's got any faith in them attacking players whatsoever. He almost looked a bit dejected. He used the word burnt out. He feels burnt out already. He's only been there fucking 2 days. I think he's come in and he realises that offensively they are shit.
Yeah, and to be fair though, from your first point there, if you give Dyche players that he wants, knowing that he's going in the summer, then it's just fucking money down the toilet though, isn't it?
I suppose, yeah. But my issue is with it, and that's why I think I fear for Evertonians that they will go down, or they're going to run it close, is with Dyche you had someone who firmed it up defensively. You knew you weren't going to score many goals, 1, because of his style of play, and 2, because of the lack of offensive players, but you knew you were going to keep clean sheets. You've proved that you could get draws against the likes of Arsenal, City, I think it was at United. You've threw David Moyes in now, who maybe isn't as kind of, hasn't really got his measure on the defensive side as well as Sean Dyche, who knows, but you're hoping he can give a little bit more offensively. But you haven't got the players though, so we might be able to tweak things tactically to get you a bit more playing a different way, but you still haven't got the players. So I think it was a big risk to take Dyche out and put Moyes in. And listen, tough game against Villa are on a bad side, but you'd expect there. I don't think as Sean Dyche's team concedes. I think it's a bit of more of a boring game, if you like. You probably don't create enough chances, but I don't think you concede. And they let go of Dyche and they get beat 1-0.
I think Moyes' record was actually alright defensively. They'd win a lot of games 1-0, 2-1. But
they had better players though.
But yeah, they did have better players at the disposal. And the fact that he's probably been given a longer contract than what Gary was mentioning last week. I think Gary mentioned an 18-month contract and now it's gone to like 2.5 years. So,
oh, is it? I thought it was only 18 months.
No. So it's 2.5 years. So they get more out of him, which means that they've got a little bit more faith in him than just, steady the ship while we get to this new stadium. Just make sure that you get us there. And I think over time, we'll have a better assessment, obviously, after like maybe 5-10 games or whatever. You just, as an Everton point of view, you would just hope that that's not too late to go. Do you know what? We made a mistake. Going back to, like, you mentioned the fact that they should have got Moyes ages ago. I think with any club, it's more like a let's try something before we have to. And I think they've gone through every single option that they could possibly go through, whether that is world-class managers like Ancelotti or you make sure we stay in the league like Allardyce and Dyche.
Yeah.
And now they've got to the point where it's like, should we just try someone who actually knows the club and actually, not saying cares more, but he's more invested in the club as a whole rather than I'm going to come in and get results. It's like the bigger picture. He kind of galvanised the fans in the early noughties and got them to a couple of trips to Wembley. They got them to Champions League spots. So they're hoping that they get that version of David Moyes. But as you said, they need the players to kind of meet him halfway.
Listen, they've had, how many games have we played this season? They've played 20 games. They've won 3 games all season. That's just... They beat Wolves 4-0. And that was Tingo's last game. They beat Ipswich 2-0. They beat Palace 2-1. That's it. See, how Evertonians aren't more worried about getting relegated, it baffles me. We sit here with Gary, we hear Gary being, he's optimistic anyway, he's a positive person. But I don't think he's a bit nervous at all.
I think over
the
last couple of weeks, for most Evertonians, more nerves will have crept in. And I think nerves will obviously creep in more and more as the season goes on, when you're still in and around there. And like I said, in 5 games' time, they could either be right in the mix down there, or they've had that new manager bounce and they're out and they probably don't want to look over their shoulders again.
I just think when you look at the league table, it's 16th at the moment on 17 points. Ipswich, they're next on 16. Wolves are on 16 and Leicester are on 14. If United didn't get those 3 draws against the 3 big teams, they'd be in the relegation zone. They've only scored 15 goals. The only team that have scored less than them is Southampton, who are pretty much relegated. 15 goals scored in 20 games. is just abysmal, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's absolutely shocking. Again, defensively, they've only conceded 26. Liverpool have only conceded 20. They've conceded 6 goals less. We've only conceded 6 goals less. We're top of the league, and it's madness. So
that does show where Dyche's strengths were. Like
exactly, and that's why I think it was a massive risk, because now you're asking David Moyes to come in and, number one, either have identified attacking players that are going to suddenly start scoring goals, or two, he's going to be this tactical genius who can somehow keep what Dyche had going, this defensive unit which hardly conceded, but somehow going to unleash this fucking attacking momentum that's going to score you loads of goals. I think it's like buying a lottery ticket, because listen, he might end up keeping what Dyche had and somehow making some mad tactical change, or finding a signing like a needle in a haystack, who's someone who's going to come in and score 10 goals. But
he might though just near enough keep it the way Dyche had, but he's at least here between now and the summer to get the wheels in motion for other things moving forward. So it's like bring someone in now for the future, but they might still keep a lot of things as you were. The players will be in the same routine. The players might be doing the same kind of thing, but then at least that manager's already been planning in that 6 months for the next season, rather than getting Moyes in at the end of the season and then he's only got like a couple of months to try and prepare for August.
Listen, I get it, but
it's a risk. Like,
it's a risk, innit?
But they must think that the other teams around them are more capable of going down than them.
See, that's the thing. I think in other seasons you can definitely say that. We spoke to me on the group chat, and I was saying, like, I think in previous seasons there have been teams that are definitely worse off than Everton. This season, I don't agree with it so much. I think Wolves, Ipswich and Leicester, I think you don't automatically look at them and go, they're definitely going down. I think Leicester with Jamie Vardy, although he's getting on a bit, I think he's definitely got it in him to score goals. I think Leicester, you look at the recent form, it is terrible. They've lost the last 6 on the bounce, I think it is, in the league.
See, what Everton won't like to see is that the form of, like, over the last 5-6 games, the form of Ipswich and the form of Wolves is a lot more favourable than the form of Everton. Yeah,
totally. I mean, so you got Leicester and Southampton at the 2 bottom sides in the form table, but the other 2 teams, like you just said, Wolves and Ipswich, are 9th and 10th in the form table. Everton is 17th. So if you look at the bottom 5 teams in the form table, you've got Chelsea, Everton, Spurs, Southampton, Leicester. Now 2 of them are in the relegation zone. The other 2, are far from the relegation zone. So it's only Everton, the common denominator, that should be kind of down there with them. I think it's proper worrying. The fixture list as well, you've got Spurs at the weekend, at home. They're going to need Goodison, aren't they, there for that? Second, I mean, he's been lucky. I think Moyes had 2 home games to start with. With Spurs, I mean, they've just got beat the North London derby, haven't they? You can expect anything from them, can't you? They could win 5-0 and Everton could win 5-0. Somehow, if Everton are going to score goals, it'd be against this Tottenham side, wouldn't it?
Yeah, Spurs are mad. So, like, yesterday, I didn't have a clue of what that result was going to be.
No, I don't think anyone did.
For their derby, because obviously you'd expect Arsenal to win because of the league positions and stuff like that, but then you've had these mad Spurs games where they've just clicked and everything's worked in that one game. And then there's other games where, like, say the Chelsea game, for example, they were flying in the first half and then they end up getting beat because they don't know how to then defend or rein it back in. Like, with Postecoglou, it's a mad one because he's obviously a stubborn person in terms of his tactics and things like that, because he's like, this is my way of playing and I'm not going to fucking change.
It's my way, mate. It's way is mate.
Yeah. But even when we played them last week, we were like, if we play the same way that we played the other week, then we'll be sound. And then they actually played all right against us.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a tough one, I think, for Everton. Because, again, just like we just said, then they can click. I can't see Everton getting anything from the game at the weekend. They're then away to Brighton. Again, another tough game. And then they're home to Leicester. I think Leicester on the 1st of February is their next chance of getting points. Which, again, if Leicester manage to pick up points in between, then it becomes an even bigger game, doesn't it? Leicester have got the next couple of games, Fulham at home and then Spurs. I think it's very interesting times for Everton.
I think Leicester are more likely to be the lesser of the 2 there. Like,
So you think they're all right, then Southampton, Leicester go down. It's out of Wolves, Ipswich, Everton, who are taking the third spot. The way Wolves and Ipswich are playing at the moment, you worry for Everton?
Form-wise, yeah. And for Wolves and Everton, they've been there before, haven't they, over the last couple of seasons? They've been in and around, fighting up to the last few games. It depends on whether Ipswich have got it in them to kind of like dig in and keep going, or whether because they're a little bit inexperienced that they just find themselves slipping a little bit.
Just looking at the numbers now, you're looking at Wolves, they've scored 31 goals, so they've scored more than double what Everton have scored. I think that'll be the reason Wolves won't be in the relegation. Ipswich, you can look at, they've scored 5 more than Everton. Ipswich will be the ones that I think...
They've got better strikers than what Everton have got, haven't they?
Oh, yeah.
Like, if you look at Cunha, if you look at Delap, like, they're the players that are giving them some, like, more of their goals, whereas for Everton, you're not getting, like, someone who's bringing that much. It's like more of like, he'll get a couple. You would expect somebody like Calvert-Lewin to be able to string a couple of games together where he can put the ball in the back of the net, but he hasn't been doing it at all this season.
Well, Delap scored 8 goals. He's their top goal scorer with 2 assists. So he had 10 goal involvements. McNeil's, Everton's, he's got 3 goals and 3 assists. Second is Ndiaye with 3 goals. And Calvert-Lewin third with 2. So there's 3 players that make up one of Delap. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be interesting. We'll touch on Arsenal as well. Listen, they got a result against Spurs. Just wanted to say on them, I listened on the radio this week about...
Seen on the radio.
People talking about Arteta. It's mad, isn't it? I think he gets a bit of a pass, you know, because they were in a title race. I think it's not crazy. I probably will get called crazy, but I don't think it's the worst analogy in the world to compare Arteta and Southgate. What Southgate did for England, I don't think is not too dissimilar to what Arteta's done for Arsenal. They've both brought them a long way from where they were. Great. Give them the flowers for that. But they've not actually fucking won anything. So this kind of Arteta's great, Southgate's great, give him an MBE or whatever he got.
Knighthood.
A knighthood.
Southgate, yeah.
Sir Gareth. You know, nice fella and all that, great. Southgate, Arteta, I'm sure he's a nice fella. They've not done fuck all. 1 FA Cup in 5 or 6 years, Arteta's won. Southgate never won anything. Like, they've both been at like their organisations for similar times, I think. Like, it's a bit fraudulent, I think, this kind of jumping on the bandwagon, how great Arteta is. If you look at Klopp in his 5 years at Liverpool, what have he done? So how Arteta and like this Arsenal team are getting kind of all the plaudits, I'm not having it.
They do get a bit of a kind of media darling type thing, and possibly because they were the third team to be in the Liverpool, Man City title race. It was like, oh, Arsenal are now joining in, and they were getting a lot of credit for that because the team was built really well. But as you said, they've been built up to a point where they still haven't got over that finish line. So the more time goes on, then it just becomes, well, what's the point in him being there? Because he had this big project. I think somebody tweeted the other day saying, like, he said to Willian when he was signing, we'll have a Champions League in 3 years and all this kind of stuff. He gave all these promises, and it looked like after maybe 2 and a bit seasons, he was on the right way. His trajectory was taking them from, I think they were the middle at the bottom half of the table at one point in his first season to then challenging for the title. But then you can only challenge so much before as he hit that ceiling where it's like, right, you've taken us so far, now we need to get someone in. And then if you get somebody in, are they going to do exactly the same with the same players and elevate those players that they've got? Or do they have to go back to the start again? Like, we got quite lucky that when our new manager came in, he tweaked a few things and actually brought our players up a notch, or some of our players up a notch, I should say. I'm not sure if someone comes in and knows what to do with those players, because they're ingrained on Arteta's way of playing. And sometimes it's not the best way of playing anyway. And I don't know who else they'd actually go for.
No, I don't either. And I don't think they need to do massive changes. I just think sometimes maybe...
They need a striker. They need a proper striker.
Yeah. He seems dead stubborn as well not to get one, doesn't he? which is a bit, you know what?
It's like he's kind of one of those people who's like, don't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Like, I know what's best for my team. I don't want pundits telling me that I need a striker. I'm all right here. But he does.
And I just think as well, it's great kind of having these ideas. Me and my dad used to always say before the Feathers opened, I say, we need a pub in the area. Wouldn't it be great to do this? Wouldn't it be great? I spoke a great game, but I didn't have the balls to go and fucking do it. You know, the lads have, and they built it. It's like me saying, I'm like Arteta, I'm going to do that. But if you don't fucking do it, like, you shouldn't be held in the same regard as everyone else. And I think that's what he is. I mean, listen, he might prove me wrong this season and do something with Arsenal. But I think people are starting to see through the Arteta kind of smokescreen of, like, where he's took them. Because he has done well to, like you just said, he's built a team in a certain way and stuff. And he has been unlucky with injuries and stuff. But at the end of the season, if they don't win the league, that's 5 seasons and he's only won 1 trophy. I don't think that's good enough for where Arsenal want to be.
Especially when some of their fans who are around our age have seen, like, better Arsenal teams. Like, they've seen Arsenal win in the league, they've seen Arsenal go to Champions League finals. Like, they've seen that side, and so they know it's there for the taking. But it would be frustrating to be like, we don't want to be nearly men. We want to be able to have something to show for it. And if you're in a job for so long, regardless of whether it's footy or not, and you haven't backed up what you've promised performance management wise, then the people above are going to go, well, you've promised us this, this and this. Why haven't you delivered? And if you can't tell us why you haven't delivered, then we need to start looking elsewhere.
And obviously Edu moved on, didn't he, as well? You don't know whether there was something going on there. It's a little bit like, remember, still gets spoken about a little bit now, that Newcastle team in, like, the 90s when we had, like, Asprilla and Ferdinand and Ginola.
The Keegan team.
They never won fuck all. Like, do you know what I mean? But they still get spoken about. I just think this Arsenal team's a little bit like that. Gets spoken about in a positive way of what they've done and how far they've come. But the fact of the matter is they've not won fuck all. Yeah, not 100% feeling Arteta. What else have we got on other news? Walker looks like he's going to be leaving Man City. It's very interesting what's going on at City at the moment. Obviously, they are signing a couple of players. They've signed an 18-year-old from South America. I think they're looking like they're getting a striker in from Egyptian lad. I think they're getting in.
Yes, we
Muso
were half linked to them at the start of the season. Basically, I think people were saying, if Salah goes, who do we go for? And they were like, that Egyptian's all right. But there was a little bit of talk, like we could have potentially gone for him and stuff like that. But it does look like he's more destined to go to City now.
Yeah. Before they started getting those signings and I seen rumours about Walker wanting to get out, you did kind of think, is it people starting to jump ship? You know, the Chargers are obviously on the horizon. What's going to happen with that? They're not having a great season. But it could just be Walker's personal life is up in the air a bit and he just wants to get out of Dodge.
Yeah.
Maybe. There was talks of Saudi, but apparently he's looking at AC Milan now.
I saw a rumour, I don't know whether it was where it came from, but I saw a rumour that, like, his missus had, like...
Which one?
Well, the one that he was married to, has, like, halted the divorce proceedings or something in case he went to Saudi, because then she'd get more money.
Wow, shut up, lads.
Obviously, that's probably just like a rumour mill thing on Twitter, but it would be funny that if she was like, right, I know that he's going to get this big, massive bonus going there, and I know he's going to be on, like, 500 grand a week or whatever.
Just wait for him to retire. Get him just as he's about to retire.
Yeah.
Boom. Oh, it's naughty, that.
Well, yeah, he's already kind of said he doesn't want to go to Saudi anyway. He wants to go to a top European
He's
club.
probably not doing it out of spite because he doesn't want to give her any more money.
No, I think he just does. I think he probably sees himself as, I'm not ready for Saudi. I can actually offer something. I'm just not City standard.
Yeah.
For City, I've got fucking high standards. Like,
of course, yeah.
And he has been one of their worst players this season, and it's been highlighted quite a lot this season as well.
In other news, mate, we had some of the teams in the Championship. The Welsh teams could now play in the Welsh Cup, and then obviously you think if they win it, then isn't it?
So yeah, so it's only like in the early stages. So there's 4 teams that are
Wrexham, Cardiff, Swansea, Newport.
Yeah, there's 4 teams that are part of the EFL, and they're part of, like, obviously the English league system, but they're potentially getting invited to play in a Welsh Cup, and the winner, again, potentially, because it's still early on, could then represent them in a Europa league type thing, or it says a UEFA competition. They haven't actually stipulated which it is yet.
Cheating that, I think. You're getting just two bites at the cherry, aren't you?
But also, it's a bit shit on. Well, they're trying to say that it's not, but it's a bit shit on the teams that are already in the Welsh League, and that could potentially take a spot away from them. But what I think the Welsh FA are kind of saying is, well, if we bring these teams in, it's going to be more lucrative because the games are going to be bigger, you'll have more attendance, you might have more media focus, all that kind of stuff. It wouldn't surprise me if it's just something that is like, let's try and piggyback on Wrexham getting loads of attention, because obviously Wrexham are one of the teams.
And if Wrexham suddenly ends up in the bloody Europa Conference League, they'd argue that's good for Welsh football. And
exactly, but one of the things that they have said is that any earnings that they could potentially make from being in that competition can't go towards their English financial records. So it's going to be a separate pot, so that they can't then... Because if they're in a league where everyone else isn't getting this extra bit of dough, then again, it's a little bit more cheating.
Yeah.
So they've kind of said, if you're in it, great, it's good for the league because we get more eyes on Welsh teams. But you can't declare that money in the English side of the game because you'd have then X amount more than everybody else.
System, I think that's us on 14, it, mate.
Well done, yeah.
The only other news, and it's fucking hell, how much do we want to go into this, is debatable. Tyson Fury has retired.
Stop the presses.
For the 4th time. Mate, you know it's embarrassing when Neil Warnock is trolling you on Twitter, giving you a stick about retiring. That's when you know it's a little bit embarrassing. Neil Warnock, he's what, 70 odd, probably doesn't know how to use Twitter, and he's somehow sat there with his cup of tea in his retirement home and figured out how to troll Tyson Fury about retiring. That's when you know you become a little bit of a laughingstock in this whole I'm retired kind of game.
I can't imagine that there's anyone who's taken that with a pinch of salt. Like not one person who's heard that has gone, fucking hell, Tyson's retiring.
Exactly.
Everyone's gone, oh, so we know why. Because a day before there was the Ring magazine event that went on, you've got AJ having an interview saying, yeah, this fight's going to be the fight of the year. You've got Turkey tweeting saying, here's me top 5-6 fights that I'm going to make happen this year. AJ against Fury was one of them. And then it's like, right, if AJ's saying he wants it, I'm just going to back out. I'm going to say that I'm retired. And then what are you going to do? You're going to give me well more money. That's the only reason.
Yeah, I just think he's an egomaniac.
He wants it on his terms, and he wants people to go to him on the hands and knees and beg him for please come out of retirement.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, it is obviously about the money as well, but I just think it's about his ego. I don't think he attended the Ring magazine event, did he? So it's almost that he's sitting at it in his house in Morecambe, and he's seeing this Ring event magazine going on, and he's seen all the quotes and all this, and he's realised that, he's not a part of it. So he's thinking, how can I get people then to talk about me? And in a way, it did take away from that event, didn't it? Because straight away, the next day, people are digesting some of the things that got said and things that happened at the event. And straight away, everyone's forgetting about it. Breaking news, Tyson Fury retires. I just think he's a massive egomaniac, which, fair play to him, you've got to be. I think if you're a boxer, you've got to have your own sort of interest. Yeah, so I'm not having a pop at him in that way. But I just think he's like the extreme version of an egomaniac. And also, be a little bit more subtle in your negotiation tactics. I mean, how obvious was it, like you just said? There's no one listened to him and thought, wow, oh my God.
That's the last we've ever seen of Tyson Fury.
Everyone thought exactly what you've just said. Oh, he's only doing that so he can get more money. Like, be a bit more savvy with it, you know what I mean? And say, at least play it out a little bit more and go, maybe start the negotiations and then halfway through the negotiations say, you know what, I'm just going to retire.
Or don't do it the day after.
The day after it was a bit like, come on, mate, it's obvious what you're doing. Personally, do I want to see the fight? Not that asked anymore.
It'll be one of those again, similar to some of the fights that we talked about on here in the past, where you go, I'm not asked, but I'll watch it.
Yeah. And
it's 2, 3, 4 years too late, really. There's no jeopardy in it. It's just a bit of an ego one of who's the best in terms of man against man. There's not going to be anything on the line for it. There was a point where it could have been for belts. It could have been for, like, things within the division and all that. Whereas now they both got nothing.
It's probably just who was the greatest English heavyweight of the last 10 years.
Yeah.
that's the probably title they're going for, isn't it? Because they've both been schooled by Usyk. They're both not got any belts at the moment. There's this kind of new Dubois kind of crew coming along, if you like, in the next kind of stage. I'm a bit gutted it never happened. And I've got no massive appetite. Like you just said, I'll watch it if it does happen. But I certainly won't be kind of tweeting Tyson Fury, begging him to come out of retirement.
It's just a bit like the Khan and Brook thing. Like,
you went to Pacquiao as well.
Yeah, it was like all these fights are happening too late because their egos are going, well, I don't want to lose that fight. I want to make sure that I'm like doing better domestically, or I'm going to go for that world title that he hasn't got, or like ducking and dodging. And then by the time that it comes to it, everyone's just like, not that arse, to be honest.
And another one exactly on that note is the Eubank Benn fight. Again, I'm not that arsed about that either.
It's a weird one though, because somebody must be asked about it, because it's gone from being at the O2 to now potentially being at Spurs ground.
Oh, really?
So the jump up from that is massive. Now, I don't know how within that two and a half year gap that they've gone, do you know what, this needs to be a stadium one now. So I don't know whether other fights will get announced that are just as big or whatever, but that's a massive jump from like I think it's like 12 to 15,000 in the O2 to then jumping all the way up to...
I was saying though the other day, listen, how they've got the public interest to suddenly spark, I don't know, but who was it talking? Who's the Tyson Fury's mate? He's like a gypsy fighter as well. He's retired now. What's his name? Super middleweight.
Lee.
The Saunders.
Billy Joe Saunders.
I heard him talking and he was saying that like Eubank's never really had a massive money fight. Like he's never had a fight, with crazy money, and this will be like the first one where it's like silly money, if you like. So I get why they're all doing it and stuff like that, but I just have a bit of an ick with people dining out on other people's names type thing, and they're not there on merit, are they? They're not getting this mega money fight on merit of what they've done in their own careers. It's on the dad's name, and that's the bit I don't really... It's like saying you're a successful businessman and all you've done is took over the family business. If you took over the family business and then took it to new levels, great, fair play to you, but they haven't took over the family business and took it to new levels. They've got the same name. They both had, would you say, mediocre careers. They've not really, done anything of real note. And now they're getting this mega money fight. That's the bit that I don't really...
And one of them's a drug chief.
And one of them's, failed the drugs test. That's the bit where it just makes me think, you know what, I'm not that interested. But again, money talks, it will happen. Probably bigger and better now than before, and fair play to them in that sense.
You've got to go a few months to get a stack card, because if that's the main event and they're going to a stadium, then you're asking...
Everyone will want to be on it.
A lot of people to kind of pay for the ticket for one fight.
Yeah, that's a good point,
That's got no belts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? How they can... I just think sometimes they go, there's a fucking truckload of money to be made there, let's make it. It's like they say, let's do it.
That's the thing.
And they just try and have to figure it out as they go.
Now that Turkey's come in, these fights are getting made and stuff because the money's no object for them. But it's that hybrid now of, well, it's not a world title fight or it's not for these belts. It's also not like the YouTube misfits type thing. It's like that bit in between where they create a bit of drama with actual boxers to build up that fight. But there's actually not much on the line. So similar to if AJ and Fury happens, it's like it's based on their past careers, not necessarily where they are now.
And the narrative, isn't it? That's all. Which I get it. It's like, the storytelling of it, and that's what gets people intrigued. I get that, but I'm just fucking not that. Anytime I've been in like love with a fighter and stuff like that, Callum Smith's my favourite fighter. I think that's more just being like a local lad type thing, but the likes of like Mayweather and stuff, I used to love those behind the scenes, and you'd watch him train and stuff. You get like sucked into the story, And then McGregor's Raj, you were sucked into it and stuff, and him and the Diaz 2 fight, you were like, oh, and with this, it's just almost like, I get what they're trying to do, but for me, it's not worked on me yet. Maybe in a few weeks, couple of months' time, I'll be sucked into it, but at the moment, for both those big British fights, I'm just not that arsed.
Speaking of McGregor, have you seen the footage of him playing footy?
That's it, yeah.
He looks fucking shit.
He is shit, and
I've seen a few videos.
I've seen more fouls he done than...
Well, yeah, I've seen tackles and I've seen like him running down the line and stuff. I haven't seen a video where he's made a pass and it got to the player. it kind of, he makes the pass and then it just stays on him. So, like, you don't actually know whether that pass actually went to anyone, and I'm assuming it didn't. He looks like a rugby player playing footy.
Do the only one thing I will say to him that's a bit maybe, listen, in no way, shape or means do I feel sorry for him. But, like, if you just look at him, forget who he is and stuff like that, he's just a 35-year-old fella who just wants to go and have a game of footy with his mates.
Yeah.
Like, that's all he's done, really. And he's scrutinised. Fucking, like, we're talking about him now. Like, there was 10-second clips on Twitter of him, like, doing a bad tackle. It's like, imagine if someone tomorrow...
I also feel sorry for the left winger who was meant to be playing and he went, oh no, Connor's turning up. And then you go, oh, fucking hell, I'm on the bench now because of him. He can't even play. But you're not going to argue the toss, are you? Because he'll get filled in.
Yeah, exactly. So... Oh, just imagine the changes, yeah. I've been playing all fucking year. Sorry, Connor's turned up. You got your subs, Connor. I've got your £3. No, I just think that... Imagine if next week we were sitting here and a clip of you went viral of just being shit on... You know what I mean?
I mean, that wouldn't be that hard, to be honest. Playing on Saturday if anyone wants to come down on Benfield.
I would try our best to make it go viral. Muskie being shit. I did see as well that McGregor is trying to get the CCTV footage of that woman in the lift. Obviously, he got done with rape, but there's obviously a lot of footage where she's all over him and doing this, and he thinks that, listen, it's not going to change the decision. He will forever be known as a rapist now. But I think in the eyes of public opinion, he wants to get this video out there so he can say, all right, yeah, you think I'm a rapist, but this is the woman who said I raped her.
This is how it led to...
Look how she's behaving and see who you believe now. Her team are now trying to get that quashed. They don't want that to see the light of day, so it's still rumbling on in the background. Bit of a sour note to end on that.
I know, yeah.
Bit of a rape case, but...
Do you want to talk about the Australian Open weekend?
Oh, yeah, finish on that. It's a bit funny, yeah, rather than a fucking rape case. Yeah, so you put me onto this, so it's basically... Some problems with the Australian Open rights, broadcasting rights.
Yeah, so obviously when things go around the world, the different like TV companies, broadcasters, they'll all like distribute the footage however they want. So they'll come from the main like camera source or video source, and then that gets sent out to whoever's paid for it. But apparently for the Australian Open, it's when it goes live, I think, more so when it's on YouTube and it's going live, they use Wii Tennis characters instead.
It's just the head, isn't it, I think?
Do you know what? I haven't fully looked at it. I'll have a little look at the video, but it just popped up on my Twitter before, so I thought we may as well talk about it. But yeah, so it might be because of the rights to the people who are playing, or just the rights for the footage that they've got to doctor it
basically
slightly.
Seeing the exact same match, but rather than seeing the actual human Novak Djokovic play, there's just this character as Novak doing the exact same moves that Novak's doing. It's a great way to get around it. I would have thought that there'd be like some loopholes though that you can't do that, surely.
Well, I don't know, because
you are technically still watching the same game.
Yeah, and like if it's all about like rights and stuff like that, Neil in the group was mentioning about like when Pro Evo used to do like, well, you can't have Liverpool, you can't have Everton, it's like Merseyside red and Merseyside blue, and certain players, they didn't have the rights to their name, so they got called something different, like boots and stuff.
Merseyside red had a striker called Castillo playing up front. I always remember that. Yeah, who the fuck he was, don't know. But that then sprung it into my mind. I'm sure it was just before Christmas. So the NFL, they play games on Christmas Day, don't they? I think. And one of the ideas they done, we should have said that weeks ago, to be fair, to get children more involved in the NFL, what they were doing is similar to what the Australian Open have done, but they made like Simpson characters as like players. So you're watching an NFL game, but rather than watching actual players, you're watching like Homer and Bart, and like they had the whole team as characters. So it was like, it was a way to try and get kids involved, because you were just watching loads of Simpson characters play.
Do you know what? I'd like to see what the figures are there, like if it actually worked, and if they do it again. And
it was like a crossover thing of like trying, because kids are going, oh, why is Bart playing? So the adults could still watch the game, if you like, because they're still seeing the plays, but they're not the actual players. It's
because I'm just wondering, like from an old person point of view, I don't know whether kids are into The Simpsons, whether they've got an appetite for The Simpsons, or whether that's someone higher up going, do you know what, The Simpsons will work, but it's some fella who's in his 50s or 60s, and there could have been something else better to attract the
I mean, you could do, I suppose, for any big kind of Disney platform, I guess, couldn't you?
They've got to try everything to compete with the like YouTube and TikTok type short content that's engaging straight away. I was speaking to a couple of kids in work yesterday, and they were like, if I'm not hooked on a TV show by episode 1, I'm done. Even if like somebody says that it's amazing or it's got all these awards and that, like their attention span's so short now that the higher ups are probably going, we need a way of getting these kids to watch NFL, because they're the customers going further forward. They're eventually going to have the money to pay for the tickets, and if they're not interested when they're kids, then they're not going to be interested when they're older either.
It's mad, isn't it? Yeah, then to finish off, if I'm going to be really harsh and say, I was thinking if they were going to do that with Liverpool, you'd have the granddad, wouldn't you, as Robbo? You wouldn't you? Oh, just straight away, just come to me. Running down the line, Grandad's give the ball away again. Fuck.
Another penalty.
Who would you have as, who would Nunez be? You know what, I weren't a massive fan of The Simpsons, you know?
I used to love The Simpsons as a kid, like.
Did you?
Yeah. To be honest, like every night at 6 o'clock on BBC Two. Fucking.
I was more Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, me.
Well, I think that was just after.
My Wife and Kids and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
My Wife and Kids was decent as well.
Boss.
Should we ask for people to put in the comments about your jeans thing?
Yeah. Could make this as a reel, actually. Yeah. So I was sitting in the airport at the weekend and I looked down and there was a rip in my jeans in like the crotch area.
You liked to show everyone on Instagram that as well. Nice one.
You couldn't see anything, but yeah, you could see the hole in my jeans, which my daughter pointed out, said, Dad, your jeans are ripped. So anyway, went online to just look at jeans, and I ended up on like this weird rabbit hole of like how you should wash your jeans, you know, what you should and shouldn't do to your jeans, and how many times you need to wear them and stuff. And the answers were varied, to say the least. So I took to Instagram to ask everyone, how many wears do you get out of your jeans? Wow. I only wash them when they're dirty. I had 1 wear of them and then they're getting washed. 2 wears, 3 wears, 5 wears, up to 10. Some people were saying that you're not meant to wash them at all. You're just meant to soak them and then let them dry naturally. Proper denim should never be in a washing machine. So I don't think there's a right or wrong way. Well, maybe there is, but no one seems to know it, because I don't think there's a kind of general rule of thumb of how many wears you can get out of your jeans. So if anyone in the comments wants to let us know what's the right amount of times you can wear your jeans for before they need to be washed, let me know, because I don't know. It's made me more misunderstood on the whole thing.
If you're confident enough that your answer isn't going to get mad, like feedback from everybody else as well.
Yeah, so someone was saying about they only wash them when they're stains. So that could be like 30 wears, couldn't it, really?
Like, obviously you said yesterday, oh, this is anonymous, but this person said this. Would that person still say it if they knew that their name was getting out there?
Yeah, I don't know. So someone said, that they only washed the jeans when they got stains. But then a few people then commented saying, oh yeah, I do that. And then a few people said, oh, that's disgusting. So it's an interesting one. Yeah, that was how I spent my Wednesday on Instagram, just figuring out how many wears you get out of your jeans before you should wash them. There you go. So let us know how many times you wear your jeans before they need to go in the wash. And when I say wash, do you put them in the washing machine? Because even that's not meant to be.
Good way to finish, lad.
There you go.
Have a good holiday.
Thanks for the support on the Sportcast. As always, again, next couple of weeks, you're going to have Musk and Gary. I'm sure they'll do a fantastic job. And please, if you can, support us on Patreon. It means a lot, keeps the podcast going, and we do appreciate it. Have a boss weekend, and we'll see you next week.
See you later.